Welcome to the episode of Kairos. This time, our conversation revolves around the possibility of a job loss and how you can prepare for it. We are going to look at unemployment statistics, the job market, and severance pay. We are also going to talk about the harder part, how to break the news to friends and family, and whether or not you should tell your children if you have lost your job. Through this podcast, we will share financial planning tools that will help you navigate this situation. So stay tuned. Recently, one of my parents' friend, Manoj, called. He is in his 40s and he was worried about losing his job. It seemed odd that Manoj was worrying about it now because we are seeing the economy open up. People are going back to work. So, Jaya, can we assume that the worst is behind us?
Actually, Manoj's thought process is quite interesting. He is doing a pre-mortem, and that's what we try to do as financial planners. We are all familiar with post-mortems. Like once an incident happens, we backtrack to figure out how it happened. In a pre-mortem, we look at the potential outcomes of an event happening. In Manoj's case, he is trying to anticipate what could happen if he loses his job and how he can prepare for such a scenario. Companies are liable to pay a severance package, and Manoj should find out more about this. In the meantime, let's take a look at this year's unemployment numbers. So the statistics shows that the trend in unemployment is reversing and we are very close to pre-COVID levels. The job market is still competitive and disruptive. You will have a lot of more experienced people competing with you for your position. A lot of people may have used the last couple of months to upskill and reskill. So, making yourself more valuable to your organization or business at this point is the utmost necessity. So, there's no harm in Manoj exercising caution. In fact, this is the perfect time for someone like Manoj to get a financial plan because prevention is better than cure. This exercise can project what would happen if he were to lose his job, what he is capable of achieving, and how he can proactively handle tough situations.
The unemployment numbers are heartening. Manoj works in the FMCG space. When I go out, it looks like things are back to normal. People are queuing up in the supermarkets and they are spending more. Unnecessary worry can do more harm than good. Should a job loss or pay cut really occupy Manoj's thoughts?
To be honest, the retail and FMCG space was the worst hit by the lockdowns. 49% of people were laid off in this sector, and Manoj must be really good at what he does since he still has a job. This segment was deeply affected because people couldn't go out to shop during the lockdowns, and with many people facing reduced incomes, their priorities are going to shift. Now, the trend is to spend only on essentials, and it could take a while for consumer confidence to return and for people to go back to malls and shopping complexes. But Manoj isn't alone. Other sectors like hospitality, travel, manufacturing have also been badly hit. People in these industries need to plan and evaluate their options. But it's not all dark and gloomy. There are bright spots. For instance, the healthcare and insurance industries have grown in these tough times, and demand has grown in education tech as classrooms move online. In the last few months, I'm sure each of us has attended at least a few amazing webinars and signed up for online classes. Digital content like Netflix, Amazon Prime, etc., have us hooked.
On that note of bright spots in the economy, which industries are hiring?
Healthcare, pharma, insurance, e commerce, educational services, and tech startups, they're all hiring. The hiring freeze is also thawing in the IT sector. In the post COVID world, many jobs will be seasonal and many people will continue to work from home. For example, Amazon plans to add 20,000 seasonal employees in customer support. The insurance industry is expecting a boom, and we have PNB MetLife, Tata AIG, Reliance Nippon, and two other insurance firms looking to add 5,000 jobs.
I'm not sure if Manoj would be interested in shifting industries. How can he create a secondary source of income?
I think Manoj would be happy to know that there are green shoots in the FMCG space as well, but he'd have to evaluate his options before making a career shift. The fact that he's weathered the storm with his current employer shouldn't be overlooked. He could take this opportunity to make money by doing something that he loves. The best time to start a side hustle is when you have a full time job. Then it acts as a safety net. There are a lot of work from home jobs with flexible hours, but if Manoj was looking for something more fun, he could turn a hobby into a business. There's a lot of demand for content writing and translation. He could try his hand at tutoring. He already has a network of his children's friends to start with. A lot of my friends have taken to baking. They find it both relaxing and rewarding, and who doesn't like baked goodies? One of my friends is an artist and she's teaching a 1 month course on basic drawing skills. Another friend makes stationery and postcards. She set up her own website to sell crafts online. I think the possibilities are endless once you put your mind to it. At the end of the day, when you still have a job, it's not about the income. It's about doing something you love outside of work. And if you make money doing it, then why not?
That's a great way of looking at it. Each of us has skills that we could put to use. Now I'm going to ask a more serious question. Losing a job is scary. We have a tendency to hide this news from friends and family. How do you break it to your circle?
You are absolutely right. Losing a job is scary and it can be embarrassing to admit to friends or family. Or your actions might come from a good place too. Many of us don't want our parents to worry about us, right? So, after a job loss, some of us tend to live in a denial. In some cases, we end up spending more than we have. We behave this way so that we can keep up appearances. However, pretending that everything is fine isn't going to fix the problem. If it goes too far, it becomes toxic for your mental and emotional well-being, and it can take a toll on your financial health too. So the most important thing someone needs to understand in this situation is that friends and family are an invaluable support system. They are going to understand the urgency of your situation and they will definitely want to help. They don't even need to support you financially to lend a helping hand. They could pitch in on the job hunt. They could tap into their networks and connect you to the right people, or they can offer much needed emotional support as well. You can reach out to former co workers and employers to see if something opens up. The healthiest way out of this is to be honest and open. We should allow ourselves to feel scared and also hopeful. The biggest financial lesson for each of us is to say no to the right things. Losing a job actually brings priorities into our focus.
Talking to elders or adults in your life makes sense. Parents carry a lot of responsibility, financially and otherwise. So, should you even have this conversation with kids?
We need to give more credit to children. They are so tuned into what's happening in our lives. Hiding money problems is challenging. If you don't tell them, they will still perceive your anxiety and stress. They won't be able to comprehend your behavior when you're stressed, and that is even more harmful. Kids are quite resilient. Telling them the truth can prepare them for life. Jobs aren't permanent, but family is. Giving them the chance to make smaller financial decisions will teach them about the value of money. They'll become more cooperative, and I'm sure every parent could do with more of that. If you have older children in college or at work, then discussing your financial priorities is crucial. Many Indian parents feel uncomfortable prioritizing their retirement over a wedding or higher education. We have actually helped many families sit together and identify what's important for the family. Our approach to financial planning is to work with the family on the whole, not just the individual who comes into the planning ecosystem.
As financial planners, if you were afraid of losing your job, what would be the number one thing that you would do?
As boring as it sounds, my number one thing would be to look at my budget. Controlling your expenses solves half the problem. If I was anticipating a job loss, then I would do a stress test. For a month or maybe longer, I try to live with the bare necessities and nothing else. There are two advantages to this exercise. One, I know in advance what a very basic lifestyle feels like, and I'm not thrust or forced into it. And two, I end up saving a little bit more. So if I lose my job, what I save goes into my emergency fund. And if I don't, I can always decide what I want to do with it. So here's an example of a stress test budget. Let's say your income is about 1.5 lakhs and you have some fixed expenses like rent, household expenses like utilities and groceries, and then taxes. Now, in both the normal and the stress test case, these expenses aren't going to change. But if you do lose your job, you may not have that much of expenses in terms of taxes. And then in your normal situation, maybe someone is spending about 20,000 on entertainment and some money on charity as well as other discretionary expenses, and you have insurance premiums also that you're paying. So your expenses could total to about 1 lakh, and let's say you have 25,000 which is going as an SIP plus whatever you're contributing towards your provident fund. You have a little bit of surplus, so either you could channel that back into savings or you could put that elsewhere. Now, in the stress test situation, I would really cut back on entertainment expenses, or I may put off donating money. So I would also cancel subscription services or cable for a month to see how that feels. And I wouldn't order out food, and I'd start comparing prices of groceries at different stores and places. I would always continue to pay my term and health insurance premiums, and as much as possible, I wouldn't disturb my savings plan. So if I had that 25,000 running, even in the stress test situation, I'm going to continue that. When you lose your job, that pattern of income and expenses is going to change beyond what you've anticipated in the stress test. You can also end up evaluating whether or not you want to continue your investments when you're looking at job loss. These are some basic pointers to follow through. I know a lot of people have trouble sticking to a budget or even coming up with a realistic one. We offer consultation sessions for anyone who wants to work on their budget.
For me, it would be insurance and contingencies. We have talked extensively about emergency funds in previous podcasts, so I won't go into that again. We also did a special edition on insurance in the times of COVID last month. So, before the job loss, there is a lot of work that should be done around insurance. Let's start with health insurance. If you have only got a company sponsored policy, you should consider getting your own policy now. We are in the middle of the pandemic. This is not the time to debate the benefits of having your own policy. So, when you lose your job, you lose the group cover, and most people don't know that they can still apply for a continued cover separately. As per RDI rules, the insurer should offer you continued cover under an individual plan. Concerning life insurance, one way to calculate your insurance needs is to look at income replacement. Let's analyze three cases here. We know that Manoj is 40 and let's assume he was earning 24 lakhs per year. This is pre-COVID. In case 2, we will assume that he had a 15% pay cut and his income reduced to 20 lakhs per year. And then the final case is that we assume Manoj loses his job. So in the case 1, he would be eligible for 4 crores of term insurance, In case 2, he would be eligible for 3.5 crores of insurance, more than 50 lakhs less than what he was originally eligible for. And in case 3, no life insurance at all. This is why it's so crucial to insure before a pay cut or a job loss.
Sam, I noticed that you recommended continuing investments under the stress test. Is there more one should be doing when they are worried about job loss?
More cash is always appreciated in a period of uncertainty, and there's a limit to how much you can save on short notice. So, the next place to look for liquidity is in investments. As an advisory firm, we've been actively encouraging our clients and outside investors to review their investments. A professional review like the one we're offering helps restructure portfolios and create liquidity from existing assets. In fact, markets have rebounded in the last couple of months, and this gives investors a great opportunity to walk out of some outdated investments and build that much needed liquidity buffer.
What about loans? Manoj has 15 years to pay the outstanding balance of 30 lakhs on his home loan. The interest rate is 8.15%.
From the data you have shared, it looks like Manoj has an MCLR loan. He should consider switching to a RLLR loan. We did this exercise for our clients and helped them shave off 1 year's worth of EMIs on their loans. You could read more about what we did in an article on Morningstar. The link is in the description right below. Coming back to RLLR versus MCLR, there are a few points. There is the benchmark where in MCLR the internal varies from bank to bank, and RLLR which is external and is uniform across all the banks, and the rate revision in MCLR is in every 6 to 12 months, whereas in RLLR it's every 3 months. And again, the transmission of RBI repo rate is comparatively slower in MCLR when compared to RLLR. The main advantages of an RLLR loan are better transmission, lower rates, and uniformity across the banks. So, RLLR loans have benefited from the RBI's repo rate cuts, whereas MCLR loans may take much longer time. In Manoj's case, on an MCLR loan, he repays the bank 51 lakhs over 15 years, where an RLLR loan, he repays the bank 48.5 lakhs. So switching to RLLR saves him 2.5 lakhs in interest and he pays 10 fewer EMIs. His EMI will also reduce from 29,600 to rupees 27,000. A few months back, people had the option of not paying EMIs without affecting their credit scores. As of the day we are recording the podcast, we don't know whether or not the RBI will extend the moratorium scheme. If they don't and Manoj loses his job, he will still have to find a way to pay his EMIs. So it's a great time for Manoj to sit down with a financial planner and manage his debt on priority. The investment review can also open up options on how to close his loans at this point.
But does it really make sense to pay for professional guidance at this point? Manoj is already worried about losing income. The last thing he wants is another expense.
The way to think about planning is not as an expense but an investment. The investment is not just for Manoj but for his whole family. The financial challenges in the post-COVID world aren't typical. It's not something that can be solved with a DIY approach. You definitely need more expertise. The work we do involves a whole team. We have experts on insurance, tax, and debt contributing to Manoj's plan. More importantly, we're able to look at his situation objectively. It's very hard to bring objectivity to the table when you're in danger of losing your own job.
So the value add goes beyond the obvious. There are many decisions Manoj will have to make if he loses his job. For instance, what happens to his retirement benefits? Should he withdraw from his EPF or NPS investments? What impact will that have on his retirement plan? So getting these decisions right is worth its weight in gold, because if you make the right choice about NPS and EPF, you are securing your retirement. In every instance, planning is not about plugging numbers into a calculator and coming up with some projections. It's about evaluating options and finding what suits each family. That requires sophistication and a lot of work. So, choosing a financial planner is the best decision Manoj can make at this time.
With that, it's a wrap for us. We hope Manoj's story gave you more insights on your personal finance story and motivates you to work with a professional financial planner. We will always be here for you. Getting in touch is really easy. You can drop us a message on WhatsApp, email, or call. If you enjoyed watching this video, let us know by hitting the like button or dropping a comment below. We hope to see you here next month.